Hello and welcome to Wenll's Guide to soloing Teron Gorefiend in Black Temple as a hunter. So starting out, you want to just um, MD your DPS pet onto the boss. Get maybe 5-10 seconds worth of DPS on the boss, and then feign death. From there, you want to let your pet do as much damage as it can before it gets low on HP. And then once it starts getting low, pop back up, dismiss pet, which will reduce all its aggro, obviously, since it's not going to be there anymore. And then you want to start kiting the boss around, and then you can resummon your pet again. From here on out, you want to keep aggro on yourself, because that way he won't cast a Shadow of Pain or Shadow of Death on you if you're the one with the highest aggro. So you basically have to kite him around using things like disengage, use aspect of the fox and you cast steady shot where you can, which is pretty difficult. Um, Disengaging, raptor striking when you can, chimera shot on cooldown obviously, um, deterrence occasionally, which I don't think I even used deterrence during this, but if you have any health pots, those can be helpful as well. Basically, the entire premise behind this phase is you want to get as much DPS as possible on him during this phase, because the more damage you can do before you get almost down to zero yourself and have to feign, the better. Because that means when you start the next part of the fight, you'll have less HP you have to worry about once he actually casts Shadow of Death on you. And Shadow of Death has a 50-second cooldown, or 55-second debuff or whatever. And then once it runs out, it kills you. So you basically have a 55-second window once he casts that on you to actually kill him. Which means the more DPS you can do, the higher his HP pool is allowed to be when you start that phase. So the better you are at dealing damage, is pretty critical, because it's pretty hard to get him low during this kiting part. So um, once you do get low, really low yourself, like I think I'm going to actually get to 5% here, and once I hit 5%, I'm just going to feign death. Like, so I go, yeah, like I'm like, time to feign. So once you reach that point, just let your pet DPS him for a while until your pet gets low, and you can knock off a few percent, an extra few percent of damage doing that. And then once your pet starts getting low, pop back up, pop him and pet off, and misdirect. And at that point, it's going to be nothing but just pure DPS, just because he's going to quickly cast the Shadow of Death on you within. See, just cast it like almost within seconds of me popping up. So at that point, I literally just have to pop all my cooldowns, do as much DPS as I possibly can in that 55-second window. Which luckily for me, I'm able to get 40% of his HP, knocking 40% of his HP down. So fortunately for me, I'm able to do enough DPS, but it can be very difficult if your DPS is low. But so the better you are at DPSing, it's very, very critical in this phase, on this fight. It's definitely one of the harder fights. Just like the first boss, it's definitely very, very hard. But it should be relatively easy once mob hits and we can do the whole minimum range thing, because we'll be able to get a lot more DPS in while kiting. So, alright, hope this guy was helpful, and thanks for watching.